Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Nerd for No Reason podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mark.
And I am one of your hosts, Raven.
Hooray, we're back. We did it. We made it through the week.
Barely.
So, Raven, do you remember last week? I think we talked about it on the show. At least, if not, then we're going to talk about it right now. Do you remember when we talked about moving to Scotland?
Yes, absolutely.
And, like, how great we think that my father would fit in Scotland.
Oh, God, would he not?
So I called him up. So I can't remember if we talked about it on the show or not, but last week I can't remember how we got on the subject, but we talked about moving to Scotland. I started looking up real estate prices and was like, wow, if I move to the Scottish countryside, I can absolutely afford it. And then me and Raven started talking and saying, hey, my father would absolutely fall in really good with Scottish people at the pub once he got his footing, started understanding the accent. And then once they found out that he did barbecue.
He's a master grill.
Right.
Yeah. Smoker.
They would
barbecue.
absolutely, he would be the most popular man in the village by a long shot. So I called him up and said, hey man, we talked about you on the podcast this week. And of course, justifiably so, his initial reaction was, oh, damn. And I said, no, it's cool. So me and Raven have decided that you need to move to Scotland. And I gave him the whole spiel about how, it was relatively affordable, and he would just have to basically sell everything here, pack up some things, move over there, and he could start life anew as a pitmaster, as a pub pitmaster. And usually when I present him with silly ideas like this, it's like, boy, go on ahead and get the hell on out of here with that. He was not. He was surprisingly receptive to the idea.
Bro, how?
And I was like, as I kept pitching the idea, he didn't shrug it off. And I was like, what?
Hello.
He's like, well, what kind of meat do they have over there? I'm like, the same kind of meat we have here. Now, when I was over there, beef was really expensive. Now, this was 20 years ago, right? And I was like, no, you can get the same kind of stuff over there. They've lamb and mutton.
Dude thinks that he's just going to eat straight haggis over there. I guess I'll figure out how to smoke it. I don't know.
Well, I told him, I was like, I think you can get the same kind of meats, man.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, oh, okay. Will I be able to, and then he started talking logistics, how would I get the wood to smoke the stuff? And I'm like, they have trees.
Bro.
I don't know what in the world you're thinking about, but he's starting to figure out logistics.
With your stepmom retiring soon, maybe that man's over there we really could leave. We could just do it right now. Who's going to stop us?
And we addressed the elephant in the room because she absolutely hates flying.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I was like, okay, well, how are we going to get a vet over there? Because she clearly will not want to go. And he goes, I don't know, man. I might have to give her, and his drug references are so cool because he just doesn't understand anything. He was like, I don't know. I might have to give her some Quaaludes or something, just something to knock her out. I'm like,
Quaaludes?
Quaaludes? Jeez, Wolf of Wall Street. What are you talking about, man? So, but he was like, I don't know. I need to give her something so strong that she passes out when we get on the plane.
God.
And she does not wake up for 12 hours or whatever, 8 hours until we land. And I was like, well, yeah, that probably tracks.
Dude, you just got to ship her over. Just put her on a boat.
Cruise.
Just, there you go. I'll see you later, honey.
That's the easy
By the
button.
time she gets there, he's already going to have made 5 friends.
Oh, easily. So yeah, it was literally just about all I thought about last week was how can I get to Scotland and start setting up a foundation? And I looked hey, is there already an American barbecue joint in Scotland? And I think I saw that there was one in Edinburgh, which tracks because that's a bigger city, and yes, you would have you would have things like that and whatever. So that tracks. But he could literally set up shop in between Glasgow, Scotland, and Edinburgh into this little village because they are only an hour apart from each other by train and by car. So, like, literally right in the middle, you could absolutely set up a place and just be like, and he was like, what are we going to call it? And I said, dude, I'm not going to lie, you got to come up with a pub name. And he starts thinking he doesn't understand pub culture.
Of course not. So,
Raven, I'm going to ask you, before I tell you my idea, if I was to put you on the spot right now.
Oh, man, you can't put me on the spot.
Oh, I got to. What would you call a barbecue place in Scotland?
Scotland.
Or better yet, just the UK. Like, sticking with the way they name pubs, what would you call it?
Yeah, but I got to think of, like, the way that they really name pubs.
Okay. Here's what I came up with.
Heck.
I was like, dude, you have to call it the Seasoned Pig. And he was like, well, I don't know. What about, like Holland's Barbecue? And I'm like, no, that's not what you call it. You got to call it a pub name. If you call it the Seasoned Pig or the Smoked Pig or something like that, you know, or you know, yeah.
I mean, there's probably a way that he could throw Holland in there if he really just wanted it, because I'm sure he's like, my legacy.
The Dutch Pig.
Ooh. Dude, I bet Chris would work with him.
That's awesome.
Dude.
I think we did it.
We've made it. Oh, that can be Alice's first job. She can be a waitress.
We're moving to Scotland.
Come on, baby. We're packing up. Sorry. All your dreams and aspirations of the musical career here in America.
Right. Forget it all.
We're taking them gone. And then Amy would just be like, I can't wait to get on the plane. I can't wait to get on the plane. And then it's going to be so great. And then I'm going to have a new house. And there's also going to be a different language. And I think that it's super crazy.
They are not ready for Amy.
Oh my God. They would literally look at her and be like, I don't know what the heck she's saying. Oh. I'm a little surprised. I'm not going to lie. That your dad was just like, let's do it.
Yeah, me too. I was genuinely just, for him to be remotely receptive to it, I was like, oh man. Like you are not you're
He's
not
shying away?
Down. Right.
Dang.
So
that's what retirement does to the brain.
I guess.
It says, like, let's go. We found it somewhere else.
I was like, fix this house up, sell it, figure out a way to ship everything over there. I would sell your truck and get a smaller truck and then ship it over there. Because I could just see him now getting frustrated driving that big old
God. My gosh.
F-150 Super Duty crew cab, air conditioned seats, everything else. I'm like, dude, that's way too big. You can't drive that around here.
Bro, he can barely drive it around sometimes as he is.
Yeah.
And on smaller roads, like little back roads and stuff like that, no, absolutely not.
Yep.
Dude, he doesn't even need a car. He can just take the train.
Well, it depends on where he gets a house.
I guess
because
yeah.
He's not going to want to live in the country. Or excuse me, he's not going to want to live in the city. So he's going to want to live in the country. So he's going to have a mode of transportation. And I was like, dude, like, you can get you a spot in the country that's close enough by American standards to go into town and get what you need and do everything you want and all that, and then come back out. Because for British people, or well, for UK, for you to live like 10 minutes outside of town in the middle of the countryside is like, man, you live way out there.
Damn.
And, well, because everything is so compact there.
I guess. But it's
So,
like when I was living in that little house with Chris in Georgia, it was like 30 minutes to get to Regal or to like whatever. And then it was like 20-ish minutes to get to my grandparents' house.
right. And I've heard stories, because I didn't have too many British friends when I was over there, but I've heard stories of British people who will not. Um, I lived in a little village surrounded, as a group of different villages, and one of my neighbors, I distinctly remember this conversation because I was just astounded by it. We were talking one day, and he said something to the effect of what are your plans for this weekend? I said, oh, me and some friends are going to London, which is probably about, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours away. And I said, do you know of anything to do? He's like, no, I've never been. I'm like, really? You've never been to London?
Oh my God.
And I was like, can't you just like drive somewhere and take the train in, drive to wherever and take the train in? He's like, yeah, that's too much. I'm like, why don't you just drive? They're like, we drive to the outskirts and then take the, as far out as the subways will go, we drive there and then take the subways in. And he goes, no, can't do it. And then literally like 15 minutes later, he said something about, he's like, where are you from? I said, oh, I'm from, I don't know if you know where Atlanta is, but I'm south of Atlanta in the southeast part of the United States. He's like, oh, you're close to Disney World. And I said, not really. I was like,
no.
Not really, but you're kind of in the right general area. He's like, we've been to Disney World. I said, hold on a second, time out. You and your wife and your kid went across the globe to go to Disney World, but you won't drive 2 hours to go to London.
That's so funny.
That's like people around here going, yeah, I've never been to Atlanta. What are you talking about?
Whenever I say like, oh yeah, I'm going to go home this weekend, I literally drove to Chattanooga today and then came back and we're recording right now. It's like, that's an hour and a half drive and it's like so easy for me. And whenever I say that, people are like, oh, why? You're just going to make it a day trip? Aren't you going to like spend the night? And I'm like, no. I used to drive 4 hours like each weekend to go from Lexington back to Chattanooga, Cohutta, and then 4 hours again to go do it. And I didn't care. An hour and a half is like nothing.
Yeah. And
so that is so crazy.
Yeah, and yesterday me and the kids went to East Atlanta we went up to a micro center for a story that I will tell later. But we that was a 2 hour trip up there and back. And we made a couple stops, but like we spent just about all day driving. Mm-hmm. And it was their choice to come along with me, which was so weird because I was like, you do not have to come. I'm going to tell you right now, you do not have to come because this is going to be a long trip. I don't want you to get bored because this is not mom's car. And I get it. If you stay here, I can leave in the morning and be back by early afternoon. No one has to know. And they go, no, we're going. Cool. Let's go. Let's ride. Mm-hmm. And we did. And we had a great time. So, yeah, it's wild. But 45 minutes from a village in England to another neighboring village 45 minutes away is like going to a different state.
Right?
It's literally like going from Florida to Alabama, and like they have their own customs and rituals and sports teams and just everything else. You're like, what in the hell? So, yeah. And that's why British people come over to the States and they're like, cool. So like today we're going to see Statue of Liberty and tomorrow we're going to go see Disney World. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, no.
No. Absolutely not. I haven't even been to like Memphis. And I know that that's like another, bigger city here in Tennessee, I have no care to go to Memphis, but that's like an 8-hour drive, which is
Yeah.
insane. Or you can, drive however many days it is to get across Texas. Texas is insanely huge.
Just for S's and G's one time, I was like, how long would it take for me to drive from where I'm at in Georgia to Seattle to see my cousin Jonathan? And it was literally like 40 something hours. That's nonstop.
Oh my gosh.
That's
a whole week's worth
right
of work.
Yeah, no, I was like, man, if I do this, it's literally going to take me 6 days to drive there, or at least 5 days worth of driving to get there, assuming that I wake up in the morning and drive for 8 hours, and then sleep, and then wake up and then drive. That's all I do for 8 hours a day. And then I was like, well, what if I just rent a car, drive there, and fly home? And then just turn this into like just a cool road trip where I just stop at different places and do things. And it was like, oh, maybe I could stop in Omaha and there and do this and all that. I was like, man, that still has me driving for like between 5 to 8 hours a day to get in between places that I would be willing to stop.
Yeah.
I'm like, man.
Hey, you can make your first pit stop here in Knoxville and take us with you. We had talked about going to Washington for like a vacation this year, but man, it is expensive to just fly there. Ooh.
It is. It's insane. As someone who has traveled a lot recently, and it's not been on my own dime, but I have to like account for all the money that's being spent. No, it's crazy, especially if you fly unless you fly like a budget airline. If you fly with like Spirit or something like that, they're like, we don't care. But by the time all the fees and baggage claims and everything else is tacked on, you should have just went with Delta.
Yeah.
But Delta is like, it's expensive. So
I don't know how people be out there doing it, but good on them.
Yeah. So, all right.
Goodness.
Other big news that happened this week. Raven, tell me, hold on, what day was it? I guess it must have been Thursday. New Captain America trailer dropped. Were you a big Marvel fan?
I have seen all of the Marvel movies. So, like, I understand them. I've watched quite a few of them, like, a few times. So I, like, understand the realm and whatnot.
All right, so have you watched any of the Disney Plus series?
I watched WandaVision. I think that's honestly all that I've watched. Because I honestly kind of forget that we have Disney Plus sometimes. No lie. We have, like, a few different, like, services, and I'm like, I am either in Hulu or HBO Max. Thank you.
Well, now you can get Hulu and Disney Plus together in a bundled deal. Disney, give me that money. But no, by the trailer, I'm kind of curious to see how this one hits, because this one, more so than other movies, I think, I don't know about the Marvels. I guess the Marvels pretty much depended a lot. Well, yeah, it did. But this kind of depends on you seeing Falcon Winter Soldier on Disney Plus, because it picks up after those events, and Sam's got a new outfit, and now he's Captain America now, and things are happening and stuff and things. Yeah, you know what? Let's forget all the rest of that. Looks dope. Looks like Winter Soldier. But the thing I'm most excited about, Red Hulk, baby. Whoop,
dude,
whoop.
When he popped up, I literally was like, what the fuck is that?
That's right. Harrison Ford, the most cardboard actor. Well, I don't want to say cardboard. He's a good actor. But he's very much a type.
But he's so freaking old. Let's be real. I love Harrison Ford, but that man is ancient.
which is
Why do they
weird.
keep putting him in stuff that's like, he could definitely do this. Let's bring him in Indiana Jones again. Stop.
Right. And let's bring him into a franchise where we will for sure need to keep him around for another 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's so weird to me. I feel like there's other older actors we could have cast to be like, yes, let's get someone who might look a little older, but we can keep him around for, 10, 15 years. This might be a one and done for Harrison Ford. Because he does not seem to like franchises.
Oh, interesting.
Well, I mean,
as a man that's been a part of so many.
Right, which is weird because, well, I mean, he tried to get killed off in Star Wars, back in the 80s. I think he tried to get killed off in Indiana Jones, and they must be throwing dumb money at him to be like, come on, one last time, Indy. He's like, okay.
They're shaking it in front of him like a little toddler with a set of keys. Look, buddy, look.
You want to smoke that marijuana, don't you?
It's going to be so fun. He's just like, I forgot that I said no the last time. Yeah, sure. That trailer did look pretty interesting, though. So that should be cool.
It does, to at least on the surface, it looks like a good spy thriller, kind of like the way Winter Soldier looked.
Mm-hmm.
And if they kind of keep that tone, man, I'm kind of all here for it because it looks like, I say this now, and there's no telling how this is going to turn out, but it looks like a return to form for Marvel. And with that, I probably just doomed this movie to be horrible. So,
isn't that always the best thing? Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Comes out in February of next year, so
yeah,
they've got plenty of time to work it all and redo it all, probably.
And the director for this movie has not really directed a lot of things, so I'm very curious as to. I mean, I'm curious to see how it's going to work out, but I also think that it's wild that they gave directing for this movie to a relatively unknown. So
maybe they like his style.
Maybe. We'll see how it pans out. So
nice.
All right, you ready to talk about this week's movie? Because
sure.
I am excited.
Okay, Mark.
So this week we talk about the 1994 comedy classic, Dumb and Dumber.
So, Mark, I can't even imagine how many times you've probably watched this movie. But how do you feel about it in this day and age of the time of 2024?
Being an elder millennial, we were we were raised a little different.
We were quirky back then.
Yeah. You know what? I'll just go ahead and say it. There's definitely certain parts of this movie that don't hold up. Because we live in a different era now, and that's fine. I think that this movie would still exist today, with a few jokes rewritten for sure. But also at the same time, I love this movie. It is so incredible. Like, this for me is the perfect dumb funny movie. Because every scene in it, I'm like, yes, this is funny. Yes, this is funny. Yes, this is funny. And then there's other parts where I'm like, ooh, Lloyd is really, really fucking weird. And I genuinely think the version that we watched was an extended cut. Because I've seen this movie enough to know that there were certain scenes when they came up, I'm like, this is new. I don't remember this. And I've seen this movie a lot.
Interesting. Okay.
So, yeah. But Raven, what did you think Dumb and Dumber?
So it's definitely been a very hot minute since I have last watched this movie. And to be quite honest, the biggest thing that I really remember happening in this movie is the fact that that little bird's head gets cut off and then taped on. And it literally like traumatized me as a child because I was like, why would they do that? Because we had like little parakeets and stuff. And one of my sad story, one of my parakeets somehow got like a little rubber band around its neck and it died. And so I think that just triggered it. And I never watched the movie again ever after that. So it was it was one of those things of just like, oh no, Petey.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah. But I can see how this movie was definitely like during its era. It was huge, funny, all that stuff. But like I watched it and was like, I don't vibe with these jokes. And I don't know if it's because I like look at it and go, this is a little cringy. Some of this is a little cringy. Or if it's because my sense of humor is that stupid zillennial, because I'm technically in between the like last of the millennials and the beginning of the Gen Zs. So yeah, that's kind
Well,
of where I sat it.
well, I will say that it is very much a particular brand of movie, and what I mean by that is that this is a Farrelly Brothers movie. So with that, these are the same guys that did Dumb and Dumber, Me, Myself, and Irene. There's something about Mary. So there's definitely a very peculiar kind of juvenile humor
Yeah, definitely.
in there, and the the kind of things that I can see why they were cut. Like one of the scenes that I don't remember in the many times I watched it is where Harry and Lloyd are sitting in the hotel room in the hot tub, and Lloyd's like, "Yeah, I'll tear that ass up and I'll make you like it," or whatever the hell he says, and it gets like real
Yeah.
rapey, and you're like, ugh. I don't remember that. I remember them sitting in there, and I remember them sitting in the room, but like that part of the scene, I don't remember. And I'm like, oh yeah, y'all did good by cutting that out. That was weird,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And the I don't know. I guess because this is the first time I've watched it in probably about 8 to 10 years, I suppose. Damn, it has been that long. Um, where I didn't realize or ping before that Lloyd is such an asshole. He's like, "Oh, man, you
Yeah,
got
he
fired. You're
was.
such a loser." You know.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying like I can definitely see how from the time that it was created, like that was definitely like the kind of vibe that it's like, haha, we can be kind of dicks and it's funny, but it's like in the wrong kind of funny. Like you would look at someone like that now and be like, yo, you probably don't have any friends, and the one friend you have should totally let you go. That's how I would see it.
Yeah. And the when after we when we're at the gas station later on and Seabass makes his triumphant return and Harry knocks the guy out and they're in the car and Jim Carrey's all sitting there like kind of hugging himself and Lloyd's just teasing him like
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, he kind of deserves it. He's been kind of a dick.
Oh yeah.
Like I didn't really feel bad for him in that moment. I'm like, okay.
Right?
So
I definitely did not remember that Harry's van was like that big dog van. I have seen like random little, you know, GIFs or like meme photos of it. And so when it actually popped up, I was like, oh my God. I totally forgot about the Mutt Cut van. And it cracks me up so much because I love the way that, like, you have to pump the gas and its little leg lifts and just all that stuff. That beginning
I was
with
going to
him was so
ask
funny.
you. I was going to ask you about this and be like, what would it take for you to do your car up like this and groom dogs in the Mutts Cut van?
Dude, if I could convince my boss to deck our vans out to look like dogs, oh, she would kill us. Oh my gosh. Especially if we could get them like looking like different dogs. It would be so funny. But I can only imagine how awful they would smell if you don't wash them. Because,
Oh,
especially during the summer and the spring, because it rains so much and then it gets hot, those things would smell like absolute ass. But somehow in my head, I'm like, maybe it would insulate it on the inside, but probably not. I don't know.
I feel like that's something you need to do for Halloween. Is find a van and see if you can rent a Mutts Cuts van and just drive it from place to place and be like, find the dog suit that he was wearing in the beginning and be like,
Man,
we're here to cut your dog.
I'm totally gonna try and see if I can dress up as a dog for Halloween and just be like, "Hi, I'm here to groom your dog."
You're right. It's gotta stink. I was hoping
Yeah,
I was hoping I'd be able to find something like just
there's
something
no
real quick
way.
and be like, yeah, behind the scenes, yeah, we were trying to do this and the van weighed so much after the end of production because it's just got all wet and stuff and
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know. I can't
Ugh.
find anything right off the bat, but whatever.
You could at least do like, I don't know, if you painted it white and then you got like little black stickers that look like spots or something. Somehow put on some ears. Like, I don't think it has to be the giant fursuit for a van that it had.
I mean, not with that kind of attitude, but
Do, if you wanted to smell bad, then yeah, okay. Spend your life savings on it. Go for it, Mark. Um, Worm Farm?
I mean, why not? I know this is not what they intended, but my dumb brain was like, oh no, that's a great idea for like gardeners and stuff. Get some earthworms, put them in the thing, make compost. Like I was thinking logically instead of like, oh yeah, they're clearly selling like worms as pets.
Yeah,
You
as
know,
soon as because when he first said it, I was like, okay, I guess that's not too bad. But, yeah, no, as soon as, like, you see the giant worm farm in their apartment, but also the fact that he was like, yeah, it's like an ant farm, but with worms. And then I was thinking of the little, like, ant farm things, but worms. And I was a little confused by it because I'm like, how big does this thing have to be? And then I got a little creeped out at the thought of just having just some worms chilling in a glass in like a kid's room. Because kids make messes. They're going to drop them worms.
oh for sure.
Gross.
I want to talk real quick about Duff. I'm not sure if you know who Duff is. Her name is Karen Duffy. She played Shay, basically Mental's little sidekick, throughout the thing, the lady gangster.
Mm-hmm.
I had the absolute biggest crush on Duff in the 90s.
Hi.
She was also a VJ on MTV. A VJ, for those of y'all that are wondering, is a play on the term DJ for radio stations. They called them VJs on MTV when they played music, and they'd come on and talk about their music videos before they played music videos on MTV. And she was one of the personalities. And man, I just loved me some Duff. And yes, and when I saw her in this, I was like, man, there she is. Yeah, I love me some Karen Duffy. Just wanted to get that out there right now.
Say it with your whole chest.
Yeah, yeah. No.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I'm
Can
trying.
you
Go ahead.
imagine? I'm just saying. Can you imagine actually doing a road trip like this with two dipshits like this? Like when that one guy gets in there that's actually trying to assassinate them.
I made a
I think
special note
I
about
would
exactly
lose
what you're
my
talking about.
mind.
I made a special note. Literally, I put this in here. Um, I said, as a father, I know what it's like to be between two people like this. That is my exact note that I wrote down because I could see the frustration in his face. I'm like, what in the absolute hell? If you got picked up and you were just like, you know what, just let me out.
I mean,
You want to hear the
yeah,
most annoying sound in the world?
but like also they're adult men, and you're just like, how, how, just like how are you able to function like proper people, but you act like this? I think I'd lose my mind, legitimately.
Yeah.
Like I'd have a mental breakdown. I'd be like, I can't do this anymore. I'm just gonna let me out. I gotta cry for like 20 minutes. Thanks.
All right, so I just ran some numbers real quick. We'll
Okay.
get back to the gangster in a minute and the road trip. But us talking about the road trip, like, how long do you think it takes to get from Providence, Rhode Island to Aspen, Colorado? The route that they took, how long do you think it would take?
Man, I am not the person to ask this. All right, so Rhode Island is over here, and Colorado's there. Maybe like, bro, I'm not good at doing stuff like this because I'm like, I don't even know how long it would take for me to drive to like somewhere that I've even been. Like, if I was to go visit my aunt South Carolina, I'd be like, man, I wonder how long of a drive that is. Like,
It is, according to Google Maps, it takes 32 hours.
how many days worth would that be?
That would probably be, that's about 4 to 5. Yeah, but I'd say 4 days, assuming you're driving 8 hours a day. You can probably do it in 3. You'd really feel rough after doing it in 3, but
Yeah.
four is optimal.
Okay. I guess I was kind of right because I was like, 3? In my
Yeah,
head, a part of me almost wanted to say 2. That's how bad I am.
2,100 miles.
Ugh, no, thank
Ugh.
you.
And you go through such places as Cleveland and Chicago and Des Moines and then Omaha.
Hey, go get you some steaks in Omaha. What's up, boys?
Oh, wow. Wow. Um,
Sorry.
when they're at the diner,
Oh my
first
God,
off,
the diner.
there's so many parts about this movie that I distinctly remember laughing. I saw this movie. I've started 3 times now and switched gears completely 3 times. I saw this movie on Christmas Day, 1994, in Dalton, Georgia.
Good Lord.
I remember that me and Gabe went and saw this movie,
Oh,
and I was sitting in the theater, and I saw the trailer, the first trailer for the live-action Mortal Kombat movie, and Christmas. That was a good Christmas for Mark. I was stoked. I was like, "Oh my God, they're showing the Mortal Kombat movie. This is great." Now I'm 14 years old. What? Actually, I was 15. What rating is this movie? PG-13. Okay. So yeah, we start watching this movie. There are scenes that I am just laughing, cracking up, and things that I still use to this day were found in this movie. The part when they're giving the speech and they're getting ready to go on the road trip, he's like, "We gotta go to where the salmon instinctively, or no, where the women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I still say dumb stuff like that to this day. The can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lloyd. Do that. I don't do the most annoying sound in the world, but I feel like this movie and Ace Ventura instilled a lot of people with the personality type of Jim Carrey.
Mm-hmm.
I've met many people in the military and in the early 2000s, and a lot of them, straight up, the way they talk, I'm like, you literally saw Jim Carrey in Ace Ventura and or Dumb and Dumber, maybe both. And it's like, yes, that's my personality for the rest of my life.
100%. Yes.
Alrighty. And it's just like, why? That's like the people who still do What's Up. Come on, man.
Classic.
But the diner scene with the hot peppers, when they eat the peppers and they start shoving ketchup in their mouth. First time I saw that, I was in tears, laughing so hard. It's hilarious to me. This movie's still great.
Bless you.
Oh.
Oh God.
Also, when the big dude eats it and they're trying to save him, and it's like,
thank you.
I know CPR, and he picks up them legs. dude.
What is that, CPR on a baby? That was so insane.
It was incredible.
And then, of course, they poisoned him.
Yeah.
That guy had it rough. That was a rough ending to be like, I'm going to eat my burger, take a few bites, and whatever it was that was like, oh no, I can't have the hot and spicy. And then I guess he choked as well, and then also had rat poisoning. Or whatever kind of poisoning.
Yeah. No, what's so super funny about this to me is, even watching it this time, is the complete buffoonery that these two guys are doing and everyone else around them, until they meet them and get to know them, are like, no, these guys are clearly just geniuses. These guys clearly have it together. And until they meet them and they're like, no, you guys actually are complete morons.
Right?
But
I think I would look at someone like them and be like, there's something going wrong in that little head.
Right. How are you able to walk and breathe at the same time?
How did you get a driver's license? Yeah. Explain to me this.
That's actually a really good question.
Any man, any men that come to a big fancy event, one of them in Tennessee orange, the other one in baby pale blue, with the most insane suits and top hats and canes to match. No, I don't want anything to do with them.
Au contraire, mon frere. That was...
Bless you.
That scene, when they... when I saw in the theater, and even now, just even thinking about it, puts a big smile on my face. When they were sword fighting with them canes as they come into frame, knock his hat off, and Harry winds up with that cane and whacks Jim Carrey in the back of the legs. I genuinely think I spit soda out of my nose.
Oh.
It was so funny. And then that followed up a couple scenes later with the bullshit joke.
Oh, yeah. No, that one was good.
Dude. This movie is so insane. But I think the thing that is kind of like the charm of this movie is even though, like in the version we saw, Lloyd was a little bit more aggressive, a lot more aggressive than he was before. But the these two are genuinely what I refer to as noble idiots. They're dumb. They're dumb as a bag of hammers, but they're not malicious about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, so like they're trying to do the right thing, what they think is the right thing. They're trying to get this briefcase back to Swanson, Miss Samsonite. Fucking fantastic joke. Fantastic. Oh, look on the briefcase. Psh, oh, it's Samsonite. I was way off. That, such a fantastic piece of writing. But the what they're trying to do the right thing by them, and I think that goes a long way into like why you're kind of rooting for these characters or why you're on board with these characters, because they're not like oh well, I did the wrong thing, too bad, so sad type of thing. Like, I don't care what they think. No, they're just ambivalent, or unaware to the whole thing, oblivious to the whole thing. So they're not trying to intentionally be mean to all these other people to get caught up in their hijinks.
Yeah.
So
there was just like little moments where I'd be like, man, I don't know how Harry still puts up with him. All right. So Lloyd tells him, oh yeah, I sold some stuff. I got $25 from the blind kid. And he gave him the bird with the freaking tape on its neck. He like traded his van in for that weird little moped thing. Like, homie said he spent his life savings on that, and he's just like, wow, you're such a great friend. Now we can make it on our destination. I don't know if it's just the stupid in you, sir, but I would have lost my mind. Little stuff like that I was like, how are you? Like, I get it. He's trying to do something to be helpful in a way, but man, I think I'd lose my mind. Also, can we talk about where they're on the like little snow resort having like almost like a weird date, even though we find out that she's like married at some point.
That is kind of weird.
Right? Like, your husband's being captured and you're over here like, oh, he's a little weird, but there's something about him. Tucks hair behind her ear and like bites her lip to be like, wow, he's different.
Yeah, that's...
But that part where they started doing the like snowball fight, where she like throws a little at him and then he like pelts her in the fucking face. And they run around and he like tries to freaking just drown her in snow. I was like, oh my god, I do not remember this part of the movie. This is absolutely wild. I think that part actually like really got me, because I was just like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. All right.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I always thought that was weird. I'm like, why are you out here? For one, why are you out here skiing and doing all this when your husband's been kidnapped? And you're essentially, you're essentially on a date. Oh,
yeah.
I don't know.
And she like kissed him.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I don't know. Let's see. What else? So many things that I've quoted from this movie. One of them is, whenever we get somewhere after a long road trip, I'm very much to be like, we're there, man. Like they did. That's something I've picked up. The missed high five on the side of the road where it's like, you completely redeem yourself. They do this great missed high five.
God.
I don't know if it was intentional or not. Genius. The line when Jim Carrey walks out of the bar after getting stood up and he looks at the thing that says we've landed on the moon. He's like, no way.
We
And walks
did
like,
it.
we landed on the moon. That's something I said that for years afterwards. Just like random excitement, you know? Like astonishment, like, God, we landed on the moon. No one ever got it. Don't care.
People are just like, is he having a stroke? Did he forget?
Raymond, let me ask you how you would feel if your Uber driver from Atlanta magically showed up at your door in Knoxville and was like, "Hey, you left like your backpack in the airport. Here it is." How
Yeah,
would
no,
you?
I made a note of that. Trust me.
Okay.
Especially after he was like, "Can I get a hug?"
Yeah.
I put that when he did the "Can I get a hug?" I put in my notes. I was like, I would physically cringe and then just walk away. I'd be like, "Oh no, absolutely not." But when he showed up at her doorstep and he was like, "Do you remember me?" and she's like, "Huh?" He's like, I was your driver. Girl, why did you not shut the door and call the cops? Because that is a psycho right there. Absolutely. No way. I don't care if you're like, I brought this briefcase for you. Keep it. Don't you ever come back here. Ah, that would make me so uncomfortable. I might even like cry a little. Should be like, I gotta go.
That is
No.
Yeah. That was super weird.
Dude, they made Jim Carrey's character just like cringy and creepy enough. But you're like, but it's Jim Carrey and he's funny. But like then he does this like creepy thing and you're like, we'll just kind of ignore that.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially watching it this time, I think Harry, Jeff Daniels' character is my jam. I really more this time enjoyed watching it, enjoyed watching Jeff Daniels' character more.
That's fair. Yeah.
And the funny thing is I'm trying to remember if it was this week, if my phone was listening to me this week or last week, but I saw a video, TikTok or Reels or something, where Jeff Daniels was talking about him being cast for this role, where he essentially he auditioned for it or whatever, and they kind of liked what he was doing, and they called him back for a second time, basically to read with Jim Carrey, and his agents and everybody were like, no, you don't need to do. You are a serious actor, and you don't need to do this dumb thing because this will ruin your career. And Jeff Daniels said, no, because I really want to do it. And the studio didn't want him to do it either. But the directors wanted him to do it. So they went back, auditioned with Jim, and it was apparently like fantastic. And the studio made him take scale, so he got the lowest amount of money he could possibly get, because also at the same time Jim Carrey was like pulling in like $10 million a movie, which was unfathomable because this was right after The Mask, right before Ace Ventura, I think. So, he is paved to be the biggest star on the planet, the biggest comedy star on the planet at the time. And him opposite Jeff Daniels, and then when he was like, no, I'll do it, cool, and it ended up working out for him, man. And I thought he was just great in this movie. He was so funny. He nailed all the jokes. I don't think there was really anything he did in the realm of the movie that fell kind of flat for me.
Yeah. I think it's, as someone that's not an actor, I feel like it's better to see someone get out of their character, like their norm, and like just do a few different things.
Right.
Because you never know, like maybe you're actually better at that. Maybe Jim Carrey should have just been like a standard straight up guy. what if he was out there doing the what's that guy's name? Oh, I can't stand that guy. Frick. Who's the all right, all right, all right.
Oh, Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah. Like what if he did some like stupid shit or like the type of stupid shit that Matthew McConaughey was over there doing? Can you imagine Jim Carrey doing the like Wolf of Wall Street bit? No. It'd be weird. But like you should get out there and do it. Yeah, I freaking hate Matthew McConaughey. I'm just going to say it.
I can't even believe that.
Bro, I cannot stand him. Also, I listened to the book that he made, Greenlight, on audiobook, which he read it, and that just further made my hatred for this man because I was like, I can't stand your fucking voice.
Hey,
and you
man,
sound so condescending.
You ever come to my town? We got it.
Dude, he talks about like the time that he was living in Australia for like, I say it was like a year or two, and like just talking about that and talking about there was like this time that his dad was doing like a job and he was just like, well, I was stuck at home, so I said fuck it and went and built a massive tree house just in the middle of nowhere. And I was just like, what? How are you like 14 over here like building a structurally sound treehouse? I would not trust that. Shoot, I wouldn't trust myself now to build something like that. Anyways, I digress. Mark, take it back over. Now I'm just going to be thinking about this man.
You know what else I don't like? No, the character of Seabass. Did you know that he was a professional hockey player?
Oh, interesting.
Which is so wild that a professional hockey player on his off season was like, yes, I will be this character that you wrote for me called Seabass. Let's do that.
Dude, his hat cracked me up, though. I did like that. Wine 'em, dine 'em, 69 'em.
This is such a fun movie for me. Like I can tell, I promise you, I've seen this movie so many times because there was another buddy of mine when I was in the military who loved this movie more than me. And whenever we would hang out on the weekends and get get drunk or whatever and party, if we were just hanging out at the house, this would be on in the background. I've caught this movie so many times, not from the beginning, and very, very similar to The Lost Boys, where I'm just like, I find myself just locked in. And I can say, with a few exceptions, man, it still holds up for me. And I get if it's not your humor, and that's fine, because my humor itself is not on the kind of popular spectrum, I guess. You know, there's certain comedians that people love, and I'm like, you know.
Oh, no. I feel you. Trust me. Like, Chris will be like, you're going to think that this is hilarious, and he'll show me something that even, like, he's sobbing over, and I'm like, yeah, okay. That was fun. That was funny. And then, like, I'll play the most, like, it's ridiculously just, it's nothing. It's really nothing. It's not even, like, super unhinged, which I do love some good unhinged humor. But, like, I will be, like, crying for 5 minutes, and Chris is just like, I don't understand. So, I think my humor is definitely not the style of this movie. Like, there are some times that, like, you know, they can make, like, stupid little jokes of whatever, and I'll be like, huh, that was good. That was good. I really like that. But then, like, other times I can see it and be like, missed the mark. Wasn't on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
So good. I'm glad you enjoyed your movie.
I think that's everything. I mean, just it's weird because every scene I was like, oh, like the Lambo's funny, and they get out and they tip everybody. Like, each scene had some one funny thing, and I could probably spend the next hour just being like, oh yeah, and they get to the gala and they sword fight, and then the makeover scene, that was funny because smoke came up when they were grinding his toenails, and the gas station scene, and like everything was just kind of like, each scene was consistently funny, like maybe not as a whole, but had funny jokes in it. So, but it's great. Go watch it if you haven't seen it, or you haven't seen it in a while. Go watch it. Go watch it again. Do your heart a favor.
Yeah, go watch it and then give us feedback on who you agree with. Was it just cringe, or was it actually a good, funny movie? Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next part of the show. My favorite part of the show. We get to talk about what has made us happy this previous week. Raven, please tell me what has made you happy this week.
This week, Chris and I celebrated our 7-year anniversary of being together.
Oh.
Yeah, it was on a work day, so I worked in the morning and the midday, and then he worked night, so we didn't like do anything for that. We were like, okay, let's not get each other anything, and then Saturday we can just like have a nice little date day. Well, of course, I come home and there's a plant, and then like this cute little plant plushie, and I was just like, it's for me, after I had like a really bad day. So I was just like, thank you. I literally like came home, saw it, and just like cried because I was like, I'm having such a bad day. I just wanted, and I literally texted him and was like, I was going to text you to bitch about a bunch of stuff, but it's fine now. And so we celebrated on Saturday. I ended up sleeping till like almost noon, and then we get up and we went to a Korean barbecue place. And oh my gosh, Mark, you and your dad need to come up here, because you guys would be like, yo, this shit be bussin' for real on God. It was so good, and you just like eat a shit ton of meat. And then he surprised me with something that I've basically been saying I want to do for like the entire time we've been dating, and we went and painted pottery. Like the little ceramic pottery stuff that you like go into a store and whatever.
You had never done that?
Well, I've done it, but I was just like, I want to do it again. It's been a while since I've done, like, you know, when you paint stuff when you're a kid, and then you look at it now, you're like, bro, that looks like trash. But of course your mom's over there like, I'm gonna keep this forever. And you're like, please don't. But I painted something that I feel like it's gonna look real cute. But also it's just like a fun little thing to do. Also like a fun little thing for our anniversary. So I was really excited for that. So yeah, that's how I've spent my nice little weekend. How about you, Mark? What's made you happy this week?
Oh boy. So I have been fortunate enough over the past, or this summer, to where I get my yearly bonus in the summertime, and then whenever we travel for work, whatever money we don't spend in the per diem realm, we get that money kicked back to us. So I've been traveling a lot for work, so I have intentionally been kind of living light, as it were, while I was there, so I get some money kicked back to me. And all of that manifested this week, where I got my bonus and I got some TDYs that paid out, and payday was last week or a couple weeks ago. And yeah, it was nice. And I had earmarked that money for a couple things, and I'm very glad I did, because it is super fun. One thing being, me and the girls on Friday went and got pedicures.
Hey.
Ew, got my feet rubbed on. And now,
so nice.
And now my toenails are dark purple. And they took a cheese grater to my heels.
Yeah.
And she was like, yo, we got to scrub your heels. And I was like, yeah, go for it. She goes, that's going to cost extra. I'm like, go for it. This is the reason I came here, girl. Get to
Right.
work, you know.
She's looking at it like, I got my work cut out for me, but
Right.
this is about to be a fat little deposit into my pocket. Let's go.
And then Saturday, me and the girls went on a little road trip up to Atlanta, and we stopped by the Gwinnett Mall where they filmed season 3 of Stranger Things at the mall there.
Yeah.
And so we found in the whole mall, except for like 2 stores, a Macy's and a grocery store that they put in the mall. The mall is all boarded up and run down. But they filmed Wonder Woman there too, right after they filmed Stranger Things. I really wanted to go inside, but I'm not going to risk my life trying to get in there. But anyway, no, we found the part of the mall where they filmed the exterior Stranger Things scenes, and we took some pictures, and that was fun. And then we went to Micro Center, and I bought a brand new 3D printer, and yeah, it's awesome.
Woo-hoo.
I can control everything wirelessly now. I got a little camera. I've printed some stuff. It's super duper ultra mega fast. It's cool, man. It's super cool. I'm so excited. I'm really like, I'm just goofing with it right now. I'm probably going to do that for about the next week, and then I'm really just going to be like, all right, let's print an Iron Man helmet and see what it does.
Nice.
So, but the prints are coming out absolutely beautiful, and I have not adjusted anything on it. It is like, yep, here's the file, press print, go, boom. Just beautiful looking files. So, and
nice.
The only thing that I've noticed is that if I add colors, because I have the ability to like change different color filaments in the print, the second I change colors, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make this part blue and this part blah 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 blah, shoots the time up like boom. But they come out beautiful. So yeah. It's I think that might be the only thing that I actually have to fidget with, is to whenever I get into the color changing aspect of it. Like there's certain parts where I think I can speed it up a little bit, but I'm having a ball with it. So if you need something 3D printed, everybody, holler at your boy. Have you seen any of the JoJo Siwa stuff that she's come out with lately?
In what, her little stupid dance and her karma's a bitch, and
okay, she's done 2 things.
her stupid tattoos that she keeps getting of the babies, of the triplets that she doesn't have but is expecting to have one day. I unfortunately know way too much stuff about JoJo Siwa as someone that does not look for it.
So she did come out with the Karma's a Bitch song, and that was memeable into itself. But she just dropped another song Friday,
No.
and it's super dumb. Like me and Alice have been joking back and forth, like, oh man, the new JoJo Siwa's coming out, and we're like, yeah, I know, but she's coming out against Eminem. Like no one's gonna know she came out with something, and sure enough. Alice was like, yo, new JoJo Siwa, you need to check it out. And I watched it, and she reminds me of the girl who was homeschooled, the churchy homeschooled girl who was like, I'm going to be edgy, watch what I do. And then she does something and you're like, okay, cool. And then she's like,
yes,
that's
100%.
That's what she reminds me of. And I genuinely think it is her PR team who is like, hey, we need to get you as far away from this bubblegum pop thing as humanly possible. So we're going to do Christina Aguilera Dirty Era on you. And she's like, okay.
But it's bad.
It is bad. It's very
bad. But no, the way you described it, Oh God. That takes me back to the like days of when my my dad went to this like super that church. Oh my gosh, where it was like you could as a female, you could only wear a skirt or a dress. If you wore pants, people made sure to like say something about it and be like, "What are you doing? We're in church right now." What? What does that have to do with anything? The people that I met there, so many of those kids were homeschooled, and I have watched a lot of them uh, become the person that they are today, and I'm like, good Lord, it's awful and it's so cringy, and I hate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm seeing that a lot now with a bunch of people that I'm like, oh man, your kids have no basis of comparison for the real world, and
Nope.
when you turn them loose, they are going to be lost. You
Dude,
are
it's like when the is it the Mormons that get like the spring break essentially?
oh no, the Amish
It's the oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Rumspringa.
Man, when they do that and they're just like, yo, I don't know what the heck is going on around here. It's pretty crazy. My favorite's when they go to nightclubs and they're just like, what do we do? I love it.
All right, Raven, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on the internets?
On the Twitterverse, I am at spooky_Raven. And on the Instagrams, I hang out at That's So Raven Ellis. You can find this cute little podcast on whatever form of socials that you like, that you use. It's called Nerd for No Reason. Find us, follow us, talk to us, please. Please, we need it. Come talk to us.
I'm so lonely.
We haven't had a DM in so long. What about you, Mark? Where you at?
Let's see. You can find me on X and Instagram at Turtles Do It. Again, hit us up, man. I'm always willing to talk with you.
Follow the podcast.
What's that?
Follow it.
Yes.
Follow the
Oh, yeah.
podcast.
Make sure. Yes.
Rate,
Spotify,
review, subscribe.
review, do all of that good stuff. I thought that went without saying, man. Listen,
Hey,
do that. Get us up them charts, man. Like this is my legit favorite time of the week. I know I say that every week, but it really is of watching movies and talking about it with my friends, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So, yeah. I like it more than 3D printing because I am not 3D printing right now, so I can talk to my friends.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes.
Special, honored.
Yeah, I don't even know what movie we're going to do next week. I guess we'll talk about that in a minute. So, yeah, if there's a movie you want to see, hit us up on our socials, man. Let us know. We love watching movies. If we haven't watched it, we'll do it. I mean, unless we really like the movie, we might do it again. I don't know. I think that might be reserved for, like, Brad Pitt or somebody. You know. Be like, hey, Brad Pitt, what's your favorite movie? He's like, The Lost Boys. I'm like, yes, good choice. We will do that again.
Matthew McConaughey.
Man,
Do not allow.
Nope. I want Matthew McConaughey on this, and you guys are going to clear the air. Absolutely,
Bro. Yeah, okay.
The show's going to
We'll
start late. I'm going to say, Matthew, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being on here. You know, Raven does not like you, so why don't you guys go ahead and clear. Let's talk about the elephant in the room real quick. Raven, you want to tell Mr. McConaughey why you don't like him? And if it does not start with all right, all right, all right.
Man. I got some words to say to that man. Let's go. Let's brawl. Anyways.
Right, everybody, go and do something wonderful in the world.
You guys go and just...
Wait.
Oh!
It happened.
Oh, no!
It happened. Is this what it's like? Why do I smell burnt toast?
Oh, my God.
Go and do something wonderful in the world this week.
And go ingest all the cool medias that you see around. And we'll see you again next week on the Nerd for No Reason podcast. Good. Bye.
Why do I taste pennies?
What?
Huh?
Oh, no.
Thank you for listening to the Nerd for No Reason podcast. You can find us on all major social media platforms at Nerd for No Reason. Our podcast music is Memories in 8-Bit by Deanna Joan, aka Fergie's Human. You can follow her on Twitter at Deanna Joan Music and check out her other social media links in the show notes of our podcast. On, Amy wants something. She's interrupting the show to say something. What do you need?
I thought I heard a kid in the back.
All right, okay. You are tattletaling on your sister for making a ranch sandwich, and this is what you come in here to tattletale on her.
Yes.
All right. Well, now you're going to be on the show. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right,
Not
go.
A ranch
Just
sandwich.
Go. Jesus. Have kids. When are you going to have kids? Oy.
Gross.
Hey.
Never. A ranch sandwich.
I don't even know what to say about that, dude. Like, she comes in and I tell her, I'm like, hey, don't come in here unless you like really need something. She came in here straight up to tell.
Dad, I was just making a ranch.
Alice is making a ranch sandwich.
Oh, that was so good.
Man, I swear, faux God.